Okay, so welcome, Dee. It's a pleasure for me to be able to interview you. I've been wanting to interview you for ages, just because of the bits of your story that you've been sharing through Soul Awakening Academy as you've been kind of progressing through your Master Spiritual Life Coach certification. So, for those who are watching, really, we're doing this really to celebrate International Women's Day. And it's a celebration of women who have been through trials, tribulations, and found empowerment and strength at the end. Something called post-traumatic growth, actually, when we've, had a bit of distance from a trauma, we can look back and think, okay, how can I use it to my potential and share some light with others? And that's exactly what you're doing with Soul Awakening Academy. So I would love for you just to have a bit of a platform, just to share what you've been through, what brought you to Soul Awakening Academy, and why you're training to become a master spiritual coach.
Okay. Well, so up till now, I've always taught in schools, colleges, adult education, beauty therapy, hairdressing, that sort of thing. I've had three lovely boys. Well, they're grown men now, and um, on my last husband, on my third, um, he worked in the prison, so I kind of naturally got into that, and I was teaching in prisons, teaching staff. Loved my job, absolutely loved it. I'd finally found something that I really loved. However, in September 2021, I woke up one morning and I had pins and needles in my hands and arm, and I just thought I'd bled on my arm, funny. Came downstairs. A couple of hours later, it was progressively getting worse. Um, and in another couple of hours, I had lost the feeling in my leg, and my mouth was, my words were slurred, and I thought I was having a stroke. So got into hospital, and by the next day, I had gone completely paralyzed from the neck down. And the next day, all my nerves had stopped working. I had Guillain-Barré Syndrome, which is quite rare. Um, and this is when your immune system attacks your nervous system. So once your nerves stop working, you shut down basically. So I was in a coma for a couple of weeks. When I woke up, I then had to learn how to sit, stand, walk, hold a cup, how to do everything again. That was a real hard time. I did it. I was told that I was going to be in hospital for about a year, and then I would have to be in rehab for about it's a rehabilitation centre for, I think, stroke patients, and that went there. And I was going to be in there for another 6 months, maybe a year afterwards. And I just thought, no way, I'm not doing this. So within it was in 3, 4 months, I was out of the hospital completely. I had got nurses working with me, physio working with me every day so that I could get up and walk. 6 months later, I did go back to work on a phase return, but I couldn't do the work that I was doing before. I couldn't go around all the, lug my bags around, walk to other prisons because I was very unstable still on my feet. So I got regraded and really had to think about what I was doing in life. I was coping with chronic fatigue, chronic pain. I couldn't keep going to work every day. I didn't know when the fatigue was coming on. So in August last year, I took ill health retirement. I had had counselling for myself before then because I needed to grieve for my past life, that I was never going to be able to do all the things that I used to in the past because of how this has left me now. So I had counselling, awful lot better from having it. I can deal with life. I can, it's fine. They did advise my husband at the time to have counselling as well so that he could deal with what I had been through, what he'd seen, had to go through himself. He didn't get the counselling. He found it very hard. Our marriage finally ended in the August last year as well, um, because he wanted the D from before I had the virus, which is not going to happen. So I'm now here on my own, thinking, what can I do? What can I do? Flicking through Facebook, and there comes up adverts for the Soul Awakening Academy. So I joined up there. I've the trauma informed spiritual life coach and facilitator. So I've got onto that course. Love it. I've also taken the chakra balancing and energy healing course. I'm also doing the meditation teaching, with the view of taking this forward so that there is an organization called GAIN, and they deal with people that have had Guillain-Barré syndrome all over the world. They have a main headquarters over here in England. I've been in touch with them, and I would like to be a champion for them. It's voluntary work, but going round to different hospitals that are suffering from Guillain-Barré, and nobody really knows very much about it, so that I can then go and help them or help their relatives who are struggling with this, with some more information. But I can also go and set up help groups in cafes, or just have a weekly or a monthly get together with other people like myself, so that we can get a bit of advice from others, how we've dealt with things. And then I kind of thought my spiritual life coach would actually come in handy with, I could then focus on people that have been in comas, that are suffering with the neurological conditions. I can't obviously cure them, but I can certainly help them come to terms with things on their recovery, on their journey. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Oh, what a story, Dee. That is incredible. What do you feel gave you the strength to not take on board? Because a lot of people absolutely take on board what the doctors tell them. You're going to be dead in a year, you're going to be in hospital for a year, and that's it. And they just accept that. What do you think made the difference with your mindset to say, no, this is not for me?
When the doctors, so I was paralyzed, and I was led in the bed, and we'd set up a Facebook, not a Facebook, with my phone, on with my tablet in front of me, so that
Yeah.
we could communicate with other people. Although I had a trachea in, so I couldn't actually talk, but I could, nod and that sort of thing. And my granddaughter, she was only 6, 7 months old at the time. She was on the iPad, and I don't think she could understand why Nanny wasn't waving, and that really affected me. And that night, I thought, "There's no way I'm being in hospital for a year," and I just watched the time. I watched the time, and every time the clock got to the hour, I really tried to move my hands. The doctor had said that from your brain to the nerves, you have to keep thinking that you're connecting, and then the connection will slowly come. So that's what I did. And by the next day, I was able to move my hand up so that I could, well, I kind of sort of imitated that I was picking my nose or saying hi. But that was the start. That gave me the oomph that I am getting out of here, and I am going to do this. I'm not going to be in hospital for a year, because it was horrible, degrading, just having somebody do everything for you.
Oh my
No, no, that wasn't me. And then it just spurred me on even more when I got home, and obviously yeah, I had to come to terms with losing then my job. I mean, I chose to take the ill health retirement because I really didn't have an option. I was so fatigued, that I was just putting myself under more stress again. And it was, no, I couldn't do that. So it's just determination, really.
That's incredible. When you're sharing that, I was getting goosebumps. And like, how the doctor has described literally neuroscience creating those neural pathways. And it's such a strong message for people who are, have been, feel like they're in a similar situation. Now, they might not be physically paralyzed, but mentally and emotionally, they could feel completely paralyzed through circumstances, some kind of trauma, be it physical ill health or emotional and mental. And people still feel that shut down there where their body is just not their own and they don't have control of it.
Mm.
And I think it's a really important message to say to people that if they do adopt this neurological, this neuro forming link from their brain to a behavior, that's actually how you create these neural pathways, which become habits of behavior, which just become automatic. And then there we are. So you went from zero to being able to do this simply by thinking it, not doing it. The thinking it led to the physical doing it.
Yeah.
And science, the research supports that the brain doesn't know the difference between real and not real. So when people imagine, they use their imagination to achieve a thing, that is still forming the same neural pathway as it would by just practicing doing that, or whatever behavior. So the brain is so malleable. But people sometimes feel that that's their lot. They have to surrender, and that's not true. You're such living proof
Don't give
of that.
up.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Gosh, yours is such a powerful story, and I'm so glad that you're on this path and that you want to help people. What does
Yeah.
that do for you to know that you're gaining all of these skills to be able to share and help with other people?
I want to offer um, things that I wish I had had while I was in there. The doctors were coming round because I was, a bit of an oddity case, and let's have a look. What can you do? What can't you do? Because nobody really understands it very well. And there just wasn't anybody for me to speak to really about this. I couldn't use my phone at the times. I couldn't Google it. So I was just relying on what other people told me. And I wish there had been somebody that could have just come in and just sat with me and explained, even if it was every day, just explain it to me again. What can't I do now? What can I do? How is this going to affect my life? I know that was a little bit long way in the future to look at it, but I didn't know how this was actually going to affect me. I couldn't just get up and walk. Um, so it was a really hard journey, and I wanted somebody to be there, and this is what I wanted them to be. So I am now training to be that person that can help other people at that really frightening low stage of their life, and just try and be a positive person in their life amongst all the negative and chaos, that you can do this. And all right, you might have to walk with a stick, you might have to be in a wheelchair, but there are loads of things you can do. It doesn't mean that your life is over at all. Um, that's just what I want to be able to give to people to reassure them.
Yeah, gosh, I remember learning about Guillain-Barré when I was studying biomedicine 10, 15, oh, a long time ago it was. And I always remember that stuck in my head, that one. And the body literally just kind of not eats itself, but in a way it just attacks itself, doesn't it? It just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. It just turns on itself.
Yeah. You can have one that is very, it takes a few weeks for it to kick in, but I had the more serious one that literally took over within a couple of days. And had I not got into hospital, I would have died. That it just shutting my lungs down, everything. So I needed the meds that they had.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
What What do you think? We look at like post-traumatic growth, and like I say, it's when there's enough time to be able to reflect and not go back and it's not you kind of over the emotional intensity, and you can look back and go, that has taught me.
Yeah.
Without that, I wouldn't be. What do you think those things are for you?
So to start off with, I was really angry that I had the Guillain-Barré. There are I was in a place where I was loving life. I loved my job. I thought I was happy. Um, this Guillain-Barré just really put me on my backside and just told me to stop. Um, it wasn't until that I actually did some research and was talking to people that this is it's your body, or just telling you just you're not on the right path. Basically, you've got to stop. You've got to sort yourself out. Um, so this is when I actually started doing some research into what I then can do. Um, and that kind of put me on a completely different track than I've been on before. But I'm loving it. I'm loving what I am learning now. And just because I'm not on that same path that I was before, which I loved, and then I resented so much this Guillain-Barré for coming into my life. But now I look at it, if I hadn't had it, I would still be happy, but I was stressed at work, um, dealing with everything. So it was a way to just say, just hang on, wake up. You're not on the right path. This has been good for you so far. And the same with my marriage. I was just hanging on because I think that's what you kind of did. Um, and it's just made me look at everything now. And yeah, life is positive. If I hadn't had the GBS, my life wouldn't be a much better place than I have ever been in my life. I love life at the moment. And I will continue to.
I can
Yeah.
feel that, like when you say that, like I can really feel the resonance of that. It's like you found joy
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
Mm,
I can just step back. I know everybody, you know, people are not able to give up their work. They're not able to stop. People are stressed in their jobs, but it's finding a way how to cope with that level of stress and not let it completely consume you, which it was doing, but I didn't realize it at the time. Um, and now that the GBS actually made me completely stop, and I couldn't return to work properly. I fought and fought and fought to go back to work because that's what I thought I needed to do. I'd used all my sick time. I'd used, my time in lieu, everything, and I was just having too many days off due to the fatigue and the pain. Uh, that I just It broke my heart having to give that up. But that was when I then started from August last year to really put it in perspective that my life's not going to end now.
yeah,
I've got another 50 odd years.
yeah.
What can I do? And it was just so powerful that I just thought, no, I'm glad I've had the GBS now. It was horrible and I don't wish it on anybody, but it's really made me put my life back into a place where it should have been.
And
So,
that is what we call post-traumatic growth. It really is. You just like by saying, the strengths that you've gained and the person you've blossomed into is the absolute that is what you classify as post-traumatic growth. After trauma, you've grown and you've blossomed.
yeah.
I think you're going to help so many people because it's not just the GBS, it's neurological, it could be chronic fatigue, it can be
Yep.
pain, chronic pain. As you know, I have created an amazing technique, somatic memory repatterning technique, SMART, and that works on all different things, pain, anxiety, health, anxiety, all of those things. And I want to gift you that course. I know you were trying to come on it, but I'm going to gift that to you because your story is incredible.
Thank you so much.
And I
I
really want
d-
I really want you to be able to have this absolute gift from my heart to yours, because I think your story is so powerful. And I think you'll be able to use this as a tool to help other people.
Definitely. Thank you,
Very
Anne-Marie. Thank
Oh, no,
you.
it's my pleasure. I'm just astounded by your story, Dee. Astounded by it. It's incredible. You're an amazing woman and you've come
Thank
so
you.
far. And like you say, you're just on this journey now, but you can really tell the authenticity with what you've been through and how you want to help other people with it. So I
Yeah,
think you're going to be such a support for other people, an absolute gift. So it's the least I can do to have
thank
you have
you.
that ripple effect that I'm trying to create as well. I genuinely want to help other people, and through people like yourself, you can do that, and it's just a ripple effect that can help really. So yeah, so gorgeous interview, Dee. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'll
you.
get this shared, and I just want your story to reach so many people.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.